Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Rakakwarash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is An Engineer Crisis to Bury the Petrodollar. I'm put the video link in the description, right? I just want to, play some of this video here. Been looking up this crisis that's soon to hit. This guy reads a book, and like I said, I'm gonna put the link in the description, of him explaining it. But in 1973, oil pipeline was shut down. So this is something that has happened, with this oil type of situation. There's always something like, the 9/11 event and things like that to usher in the new, right? This guy in this video, he hints towards this person, which I'm gonna check her out and see, what's going on with this, right? Because she said something interesting in this video that he showed. But you can check it out, all right? This is in October 1973, Arab members of OPEC initiated an oil embargo against the U.S. and other nations supporting Israel in the Yom Kippur War, halting oil exports and curbing production. This action caused global oil prices to rise by nearly 300%, creating severe fuel shortages, panic buying, and long gas lines. Right? The difference is we're at the end. All right, all hell is about to break loose. Okay, it says the embargo started October 17, 1973. OPEC targeted the U.S., Canada, Japan, the Netherlands, and UK for their support of Israel. Okay, so similar event happening, but what's the difference? The difference is these nations are saying this is not my war. The NATO, they're hating the whore, right? This is Revelation 17. And I get it from 12. The difference is now people are allowed to go through. I was just watching the Elder Pastor Harris video. I was watching a few minutes of it in the beginning where he was saying that the strait is actually open to anyone else, just not American Israel this time, right? And now they're saying the strait is open and you can you can use the yuan, but not the petrodollar. Right, Revelation 17 and 12, it says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest are the 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour of the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast." So back in the day, this is what they was on. U.S., Canada, Japan, Netherlands, right, in the U.K., right, that's NATO. That's NATO, But now, they're switching up, right? Revelation 17 and 14, it says, "These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, The waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." The point, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast that was having one mind, these shall hate the whore. The whore is America, the 10 horns middle EU, right? The beast is the whole system, right? It says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." So this is where we are now in prophecy. Before, when they did this, there was a one mind. Right now, this man is calling on his allies to help, and they're like, "This is not our war," even though they have this NATO agreement thing pulled up. All right, this is Obadiah 1 and 7. Obadiah 1 and 7, it says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him." Right? This Donald Trump is asking Russia and China for help to figure out the situation while they're already helping Iran. And everyone knows it except for Donald Trump, apparently. Right? Matthew 12. It says, Matthew 12 and 25, "And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand?" Right? And that's where we're at. Right? So says response, economic impact, global oil prices soared from roughly 3 per barrel to nearly 12. Yeah, okay. So now we at like 100. They're talking about it might hit 300. Response in the U.S. This led to severe gasoline shortages, rationing, and accelerated efforts to build the transatlantic pipeline. Trump is now trying to tell California to like hurry up and open up the oil, and they're bucking up against that. Right, start back drilling in California. And California's like, nah, So this is a different time. All right.
International affairs. I'm hearing that apparently this is going to kill the city of London because Lloyd's of London has canceled all the insurance through the strait. Believe me, they are all playing this together. And so just like the first energy non-crisis was to create the conditions for the petrodollar. And how did that work? Well, they got the price of oil and gas and natural gas artificially high, right? And what that created was a need for dollars to pay for that. And then, of course, Henry Kissinger did the informal deal with the Saudis to defend the kingdom. But now everything seems to be unraveling. The petrodollar is on its way out. China, the yuan, the BRICS, they're getting into gold. So, yes. And I think the United States is fine with this because they know the petrodollar is on its last legs, and they know that the debt is becoming insurmountable. So what this will do, I think it's going to...
We got scriptures. I get them. Like I said, you can check the video out and play all the way through if you want. This is Habakkuk 2, and 6 says, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb? Let me get it from 5. Habakkuk 2 and 5. It says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, right, his policy, and things like that. He is a proud man. This devil, thinks he has it all together, because it seems like everything that he's doing is working for him, right? The plans that he laid out. But this is a snare and a trap for him, right? Because at some point it's going to end, and we're at that point where it ends. All right. It says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that layeth himself with thick clay. This thick clay, Ibatya, right, is the debt that these devils have accumulated. All right. The money. All right. Thick weight of pledges, heavy debt. All right. You got the debt clock counting up still right now,
hyperinflate the old dollar, and we're going to see probably a new monetary architecture.
Yeah, you got stable coin, you got different things that they could do, but it's going digital. Right, this is the NWO. Right, this is the image of the beast coming into fruition. Right, but they're not going to get far with it. Right, because they're gonna put forth this chip that's soon to come. All right, and then it's over. Right, because we cannot have that chip. The elect of the Israelites cannot take that chip. We have to be protected by Yahweh Bashim Oshai. Right, we can't operate in a society. It has to stop. We're the apple of the Lord's eye. Right? He's not going to leave us, hanging. It says Revelations 13:11. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." This dude in this video says basically that everything has led us. He basically says that everything has led us to this point where we're at now, right? And that's what it's talking about here. 2 horns like a lamb. You're different parties, but he spake as a dragon. He has one way about him, which is basically draconian measures to bring about his new world order. It says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly one was healed, which is the Roman Empire, which is the first beast. Right, we're now in the revised Roman Empire. Right, you had the Renaissance, the rebirth of America, of the Roman Empire, which is America. Right, says, and he doeth great wonders so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, by saying, I'm the best on earth, don't fuck with me. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which all nations is doing that. These Amalekite small hatters, 1948ers, right? Those people in the land of Israel right now are proclaiming to be Jews, and they're not. They're cosplayers. They control the world, and behind these different governments is those Amalekites, right? And they're pushing the world towards this system, right? That's why it said the world should make an image to the beast, which had the womb by a sword and did live, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So they're pushing for this agenda, and you can get cut out from this, right? You can get cut out from the society by not taking this thing, because this is where the world is going. And that's why the hopeful elect will need Yahweh Bashem Shai, right, to deliver us. It says, and he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the name of his name. See, so you're going to need to buy and sell with this mark that's going to be in this new system, which goes into a physical mark they're going to put inside your body, but it goes to a digital currency, because you're not going to eat the dollars or eat the coin. No, it's going to be a digital currency that's going to be on that mark that you're going to buy and sell, because he just said they're out with the old and in with the new. All right. The dollar is done.
And the gold will be the most important part of this, and the U.S. will probably revalue its gold holdings. So I want to go through chapter 3 of this book by Pastor Lindsey Williams, because it's about how he found out that it was basically a sham, the crisis in the 1970s. And I remember that well. I was about 9 or 10, and it affected the whole world. It affected where I was growing up in Brazil as well. So chapter 3 is shut down that pipeline. It says, I have already said that the first time I realized there was no true energy crisis was when the senator from Colorado visited me in Alaska. However, like many other Americans, I had heard the rumors and hearsay many times before that. In fact, I first became aware of the supposed energy crisis in 1972 when I was riding on Roundup in Wheatland, Wyoming on a 32,000-acre ranch. That day, as we rode in the high country looking for cattle, I noticed a big pump. It was, in fact, a large pipeline that was running across the Rockies. I was curious. That is my nature. I said to the man with me, "Sir, what is that big pipeline running across your property?" I should explain that because I am a Baptist preacher, I'm often called Brother Lindsey. I suppose it's a courtesy title. My friend answered, "Well, Brother Lindsey, that's one of the major cross-country pipelines carrying crude oil from the west to the east." "Ah," I answered, "that's rather interesting. I've heard there's a possibility of an energy crisis. I'm sure glad those pumps are running full speed ahead." Well, that was in 1972. You remember that 1973 was the first time we were told there was really an energy crisis. The East Coast was used as a test case for that energy crisis, and there were long lines of people waiting, burning fuel while they waited in line for gas they couldn't get. In 1974, I was again in Wyoming and went to that same ranch. I remember the fall as we rode Roundup over the Rockies. It was something that startled me. I had just come from the East Coast, where I had numerous speaking engagements, and with the rest of America, I had been told we needed to conserve energy, for if we didn't, we were going to run out of fuel. Crude oil was in low supply, and natural gas would soon become a scarce commodity. Imagine my surprise that fall as we rode back over the same high country to find that the big pump was closed down. The pipeline didn't seem to be running. As we rode the high country on horseback, I asked the gentleman who managed the ranch, "Sir, why isn't that big pump running?" "You don't mean to tell me that they have closed down a major cross-country pipeline? Back on the East Coast, I have seen people standing in line waiting on fuel. What's the story?" "Well," that old Westerner said, "Brother Lindsay, here a few months ago, they came through and started to close down that pipeline. And you know that thing went right across my property, and I believe I had a right to know why they were closing it. After all, I received money from the oil that was flowing through the line across my property. And so I went up to the man and asked him why they were closing down the pipeline. I said to them, 'Don't you know that on the East Coast where that oil is supposed to be going, they have an energy crisis? Don't you know that there are people waiting in line to get fuel and we've got an energy crisis? Man, why are you closing that line down?' I listened intently, for I was vaguely wondering if this pointed to some sort of manipulation for a purpose that was unknown to me. The old Westerner went on, 'Well, they didn't want to tell me, Brother Lindsay. You know how we Westerners can get sometimes. Cowboys are known for being a little bit mean and ornery. And I decided to use some of my orneriness and persuade that man to tell me why he was closing the pipeline down. So I went up to the boss man and got a little bit rough with him. I told him I wanted to know why that pipeline was being closed down, because after all, it was going across my property. I let him know that I was an honest American and that I had thought that back on the East Coast, they were having an energy crisis, even though we had plenty of fuel out west. And he said, 'Well, mister, if you really want to know the truth is the federal government has ordered us to close this pipeline down.' The old Westerner went on and told how he stood up to the boss. Why, man, I can hardly...
All right, so you get it. Sir, we're closing it down because we've been ordered to, right? And I just want to share that. Like I said, I'm gonna put the link in the description. Let me grab Ephesians 5:15. All hell is about to break loose, right? Things that we're living at a different time, right? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. Right? We're watching for the signs and effects and things like that, right? Esau Edom is a one-trick pony, right? He wash, rinse, and repeats, whatever the case may be. Ephesians 5:16, redeeming Ephesians 5:15, it says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil." Okay. All right, Lord, when you edify, shalom, to the elect, which consists of men, women, children, shalom.